Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of how to survive your first week in NoCode-X. So you created your NoCode-X account, what's next? So the first thing to do is actually create a workspace, and a workspace is where all your applications reside in. All the applications that you're gonna build with NoCode-X will reside in a workspace. As a user, you can have access to one or many workspaces, as many as you need access to. And as a user or as a workspace, you can have one or many applications, as many as needed. So there really is no restrictions with regards to that. So the first thing you do, you enter a welcome screen and you are kindly asked to choose a workspace name. So let's call this my workspace. I hit create and that's that. The second thing that I have to do, I have to choose a package for that workspace because a license in NoCode-X is linked to a workspace, not to an application. You heard that right. Within NoCode-X, you can have as much applications that you want within a license. We don't care if you build one application or you build 100. Actually, we do care. We love to see you build 100 applications, but with regards to licenses, we don't care. So you have the choice. Do you want to create a free workspace, or do you want to create a workspace where you buy a license? You can buy as many licenses as you want and you can stack them up. For one license, you get an amount of resources that your applications will be able to use, and you can choose to pay monthly or pay annually. So you can stack as many cores as how we call those licenses. You can stack them as many as you want, and if you have the need for an on-prem setup, please contact us. We will help you set this up. Now, for the sake of this demo, I will choose to create a free account. So yeah, the first thing that I have to do is, of course, I have to create an application within my brand new workspace. So that's that. Let's call this application Office Rental. So I choose a name for my application. I can add a description for all my colleagues to learn or to read about, and I can choose an icon for my application. So let's find something company related. So this is just to make an application recognizable within NoCode-X. This is important. I can choose a domain. If you wish to use a custom domain, that is possible. We will not do so for this video. So we'll choose a domain which is in the source of Office Rental. And this will actually be the URL on which my application is available. So let us hit save. So that's that. My application is created. And now I can go ahead and start building my application. So in this video, I will not start building right away. I will start explaining the basic concepts of NoCode-X. I think you really need a high level concept of all the things that are possible within NoCode-X. And then we'll start building a small application. So first of all, you can build, we'll just go through the entire site navigation, and that will help us get a grasp of the high level concepts within NoCode-X. So on top of the site navigation, we have templates, and templates are really what we call are really pages that you can build. So we call that templates, not because we wanted to invent another name for it, but because a template can be more than just a page. A template can also be a part on a page that you can reuse in several other pages. So you get 4 pages or 4 templates right off the bat with every new application that you create. Those are really the error pages that are shown in case of an error. If you don't want to see those because they are included through a plugin, if you don't want to see those, you can just toggle the include plugin filter, and you'll just see the templates that you create. So creating a new template or a page is really simple. You you open up the overview by clicking the side navigation, you click create, and then you get a choice on how you want to create your template. I want to choose a web page here, but you can also choose a reusable component, which allows you to reuse that template in different pages, or you can generate a template, which is a form from a data format that you have in your application. For now, we'll stick to creating a web page. So let's call this my page. I will delete this page later on. I'll also choose a language here, so let's just choose English. As you might know, NoCode-X is multi-language by default, so you can create the same template in many different languages. So by creating a template, we come over to the template editor, and this looks something like this. You can zoom in to this template editor by using Control Scroll. And then, for example, if you want to add a part, or if you want to add an element to your page, you can use this elements bar on the left here, which contains all the elements, the UI elements that you can use on your page. If you know what you're looking for, you can filter by using the filter right here. So for example, if I wanted to add a vertical list, I can do so. And if I wanted to add an input field in that vertical list, I just drag and drop it in that vertical list. If I wanted to add a button underneath that input field, I could just do so, drag and drop it into place, and that's that. So that's really simple. That's in a nutshell, that's what building templates or pages in NoCode-X is all about. Let's head on to the next part. So sometimes your application doesn't need pages. Sometimes your application only wants to talk to other applications. So that's where APIs come in. There are two ways of communicating with other applications within NoCode-X. First of all, you can call APIs, which is not what this is. This is really, I want to create an API. So I want to make an API that can be called by other applications. So within NoCode-X, creating APIs is really simple. You open up the overview, you hit create, and you choose the way you want to create APIs. Now, there are many ways of generating APIs straight off the bat, but let's keep it simple and create an API from scratch. You just hit create, and then you can choose a name for your API. You can choose a description for your API. You can choose an icon for recognizability within NoCode-X. And then to technical details, you can choose the method on which which method is being used to call your API, and which endpoint should be used to call your API. So for example, I can say, okay, this is my endpoint. So if you see here, this is your endpoint on the different environments in which your application will be available. So I haven't told you guys yet, but with NoCode-X, you get 4 environments out of the box. So the first environment is the development environment. That's where you develop your application. Then it's the test environment. That's where you have your team test out your application. That's where you then you go to accept environment. That's where your business user tests your application. And then you head over to the production environment, where your actual users get to use your application. Of course, you can skip environments and stuff like that. I do not recommend it, but it's possible. So here are the URLs on each of the environments. And of course, if you want to add, if you want your application to do something, you will have to add a little bit of logic to your application. So what you do is you could create a new action, and that's where you can define the logic that is being executed once your application is being called. So that gets us straight to actions. Actions are actually what we use to define logic within NoCode-X. You can link actions just about anywhere in NoCode-X. So as I showed you now in the API, but also within components or elements in your templates, and we'll see other links to actions in the coming minutes. So let me just show you actions. you open up your creating action is just the same way as the other things that we've seen. Just so you open up the overview, you hit create, or I already have one here because I created one to add to my API. You hit create. You have the choice of creating a blank action or generating one from API documentation. But let's just create a new action here and start from scratch. So this is how creating logic looks within NoCode-X. You have a block, my new action, which contains the name of my action. But this, as you can see here, this indicator tells me that it is a start block. It is the first block of this action, which means this block is being executed first. So I have the choice of many functions here to build my logic. And all I have to do is actually drag and drop the desired function into place, connect the blocks together, and this will be executed sequentially. So every single function has its unique set of properties or arguments that can be set. So for example, here the write to application log a function has some text that I can put in and has some placeholders, and I can choose a level of log line to log in my application log. So I'll just log hello in this action. So that's in a nutshell how action building happens within NoCode-X, or logic building for that matter. Please keep in mind this is a fully functional programming language, so it's really nothing but graphical programming. You can build for loops in this, you can build loops in this, you can build conditionals in this, you can build just about anything that you can build with a non-graphical programming language. So it's really powerful. So let's head over to the next set of information, or the next concept. Then we have our database. And NoCode-X has a built-in database which allows you to store data and retrieve data. But it all starts with a data contract. And what we call data contracts in NoCode-X is data format. So a data format is really, as I said, a contract by which your data should abide. So let's create our first data format. We again have the choice on how do we want to create this data format. So we can create one from scratch, or we can create one from natural language, or from a CSV that we have on our PC, or maybe if you have a JSON file, we can use that. But let's dive in and let's create one from scratch. Let's create person, for example. Voila. And as I told you, it really is a contract for a piece of data. So we should define the properties that are present in a person piece of data. So a person can have, for example, a first name, which is of type text. A person can have also a last name, which is also of type text. And maybe a person can have a birth date, or maybe a website. Let's say this person has a website, and let's say this person also has an email, which is of type email. Voila. And of course, within each type has their own settings that you can really customize. So for example, you can add a minimum length, a maximum length, you can add a regex pattern, or you can add a data classification to one of the fields of your data format. I will explain data classification in a later video, because that's gonna add really cool stuff to explain about. So I created my person data format. Let's go ahead and create some data for that person. So I head over to data. It's again the same overview. I hit create. I choose blank because I can create data in other ways as well. So I'll create Tristan. I'll choose the data format that I've just created, and creating data in NoCode-X is nothing but creating a small piece of JSON. So I create this JSON, first name Tristan, last name, website, voila. And then of course I have to choose the environment for which I want to create this person. So I'll just create the development. I'll just choose the development environment, and that's the first piece of data in my database right there. So again, I can choose an icon. Again, I can choose a description. Again, I can add or create or update my data from here. So let's head over to the next concept, and the next concept is actually media. So you have a media library built in your application. So this can actually contain anything that you need to build your application with regards to files. So if you want to store images, videos, documents, PDFs, and so on, you can use the media library to do so. So creating files is really easy. You can do it in just the way that we did it in all the other things that I have shown you. You can of course use logic to create media and update media and stuff like that. But let's just do it manually. My image, let's create an image. Let's browse the files here. Let's upload this one, and that's about it. So that's creating a manual image in here. So now I can use this in my application. I can put this on screens. I can use logic to reason with this and stuff like that. So I have an idea right here, so I can use it, and I can add some alternative text to add if I want to show it on a screen. I can add some tags if I want to easily find it in my media library and so on. The next concept that we want to explore is jobs. So sometimes we want to execute logic periodically, for example, every 5 minutes, every hour, stuff like that. That's where jobs come in. So creating a job within NoCode-X is really easy. You hit the jobs button in the side navigation, click create, and your job is created. So from here you can rename your job, for example, my first job, and choose a description, choose an icon for recognizability within NoCode-X. You can also choose some tags to find this job more easily. And then, this is the important stuff, you can choose the frequency of your job. So you have some predefined frequencies that you can use. If you can't find the frequency that you are looking for, you can choose the advanced frequency, and then you can create your own job or your own frequency based on a cron statements that you create. Now, how you create cron statements is all in our documentation, so please read that if you want to create your own frequency. Of course, you link an action to this job, and this action gets executed according to the frequency you put in here in the cron statement, or you choose from the predefined set of frequency. So that's another way to link an action to something in your application. So that's what jobs is all about. Now the next concept is the design system, and the design system actually helps you design your application or your look and feel from a centralized place and not from all around the pages that you build. So you have a design system, you have as many design systems within your application as you want, but you can only have one that is active. So if you open up the design system, you will see that there are many options for choosing colors and choosing typography. So if I now change one of the colors, my pages should change along. So let's open the page that I've just created, which has a button which is actually in some kind of a brownish color. So let's open up my design system, and this is actually color accent 1. So let's change it to a more greenish color, voila. And let's also change the secondary text to like maybe black. Let's do that. And if I head over back to my page, I will now have a green button and a black text. So as you can see, this design system really allows you to centralize the design of your application. But of course, you can override this design system by changing the style settings in of your button. So that's the design system, and then we head over to groups and rights. And groups and rights is really where you define the security of your application. You can define rights. For example, a user can read offices, a user can write offices, and then you can define groups. Administrators can write offices and normal users can read offices, for example. So let's just create a right right here. It's really easy. Just hit the overview, create a right, and think of a name for your right. So for example, read offices. We'll hit save. We'll create another right. Write offices this time. So voila. And then let's create a group, which we call admin, and which we choose, well, an admin can actually write offices and read offices at the same time. So let's save that. And then we create another group that we can call users, or normal users, and normal users can only read offices. Voila, and now we can add users to these groups or to the rights if you want. Best practice is, of course, using the groups. And then we can start checking for those rights on templates, on actions, on APIs, and so on. So that's really adding security to your application. So the next thing that I want to show you guys is the hub. The hub is actually the place to be when you want to start using predefined stuff that you can build within NoCode-X in your application. So for example, if you open the hub, you have a list of integrations that is possible with third-party applications such as the MailChimp API, we have the Google Spreadsheet API, Atlassian Trello, and so on and so on. And every plugin can be installed really easily. So for example, if I would like to install the Atlassian Trello API, I would have to for example, search through this hub or maybe find it through browsing it, open up the detail page, and as you can see, this plugin has several versions. I can choose to read the README file, which will allow me to find out how to use this plugin actually. And once I've done that, I'm happy and satisfied. I can choose to install this, and this will actually install this plugin, and then I can start using it as described in the README file. So it's really easy to find plugins within NoCode-X. It's really easy to install them, and most of the times, if the plugin is not that complicated, it's also easy to use them. What I wanted to tell you guys is you have a public hub that will allow you to use public plugins, but you can also have a private hub which would allow you to create your own plugins, and you can store your own plugins on your private hub, and then it's only shared with the rest of your workspace instead of the whole world, which would allow you to share those more critical libraries maybe that you want to create across applications. So that's an interesting way of sharing logic within applications. So yeah, I think we've seen NoCode-X in a nutshell now. I think we can now go on and start creating our first small application. And I think we already did a really good job by creating this page right here. So let's throw away what we did. And actually we want to create our first page and we want to test it out. So, and on our first page, I want to do something really typically. I just want to add a title. I just want to say hello world. Voila. I think I'll style this a bit. So let's just make this 35 pixels high, and let's choose a font that's maybe 24 pixels, and let's choose a line height that is 35 pixels, so it would be right in the middle of the title. So that's that. I can give it a code, which is actually the unique identifier for this element on the page. So it's best practice that you really put in a unique identifier there. So I'll call this hello world, world title, voila. Okay, so that's that, and let's also add a button, maybe like this, voila. That button, as you can see, it follows the design system again. And let's add a little action to that button, so every component or every element can also have an action, or can also have actions linked to this by what we call action triggers. So a button has an action triggers which is named on click. It speaks for itself. The actions will be executed when the button is clicked. But of course we have other kinds of actions, action triggers. So for example, if we take the input field right here, we have the onChange action trigger, which allows you to execute an action whenever the value of this input field is changed. But we won't be doing that right now. We'll just use the onClick of the button. So let's add an action to this onClick, voila. And let's write something in our application logs. We'll just connect those two, and let's choose some text. Hey, hello world, voila. And that's really that. So that's our first small, really small application. Of course, every page that you build within NoCode-X is by default protected by authentication. So if I now request this page, if I now would run this page, I would be requested to log in. So as you can see, there is a login page here. Of course, this is the custom login page of NoCode-X. This can be customized completely if you don't want to use this one. But for now, for the sakes of this demo, I will just switch off the authentication, and then this will allow me to test the page really quickly. So if I now open up the page, you can see this is the page that I've built. And if I click the hello world or the click here button, I should go back to my my logs, which will allow me to see hey hello world in the log file. Of course, this is not that handy that you can see it only here. You can also see it in the action actually. If you open it up, you'll see there is a blue line on the block that actually is responsible for writing a log line in the application log. And if you click the bug icon here, you can see which log line is being written out. So yeah, that's that. That is NoCode-X, your first steps in NoCode-X, your first steps in NoCode-X today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy tweaking with NoCode-X. Keep on watching this video, because next time we're really gonna dive in. We're gonna start building on our office rental app, and we're gonna start moving really quickly. So goodbye guys, and hope to see you soon. Bye.